All right, folks, a couple more pieces and then we're going to get started. I guess this will just become an episode recorded live. But if you join me after I get started, thanks for stopping by, and I'll get a formal introduction going after the couple pieces. All right, so stick around. Thanks for stopping by. hi there, folks. Welcome to the channel, the optimistic absurdist channel, where we quietly and gently question the absurdities of being human and also the absurdities of the universe, expecting or asking it for answers, expecting that it would give us any, because that would be absurd. And so we quietly and gently question the absurdities, knowing that we have to step off into it anyway, right? We have to live our modern day Sisyphuses, uh, per se. So, yes, that's what we do here. Who am I? Um, it's actually pretty relevant to the discussion I want to have. But retired Army, 20 years, 4 combat deployments, of which some of the discussion will talk about a couple of those deployments. Did a couple gigs for the DoD permanently, and then now I do some freelance analysis work for them every now and then. Some writing, the YouTube channel, supporting my wife's career, and taking care of our pup. But what's been going on? Nice day today here. Weather. I think it's last I looked was 78 with southeast winds. That's the Kona winds. And they come out of the southeast and they make it really, really nice, which I guess is part of why this place is considered paradise to be debated. But I'm fortunate. The weather today, 78 and sunny and breezy. I don't know if you can hear my chimes in the background, but they're going. Did some laundry, played with the pup, checked out what was growing in the yard, which isn't much for some reason this season. I think it's because in part the season came in late here. Our winter is rain, and it's still ongoing. Actually, it should have tapered off almost a month ago. Some would argue 2 months ago. But fortunate there too, because the farmers can use that. But what is our topic about today? A cassette tape, a checkpoint trust, and a burning Impala. What if I asked you, raise your hand, if this week you found yourself, or at least you did it, you know, on those double left turn lanes, sometimes triple left turn lanes, and you're in the innermost left turn lane, did you find yourself this week, just as the light turned green, you're in the innermost, and before you even get into turn completely, you're already drifting over into the right lane? Did that this week? Of course you did. Of course you did. We all do, because we get away with it so often. Looking down to grab our IDs to get into whatever building it is and taking our eyes off the road just for that, what we consider a split second, and the rest can be a catastrophe. But we're in such a hurry. Patience is, in my humble opinion, and I don't mean to sound preachy, but patience is lacking in everything we do, in our relationships, in the way we treat each other as neighbors, and not immediate neighbors, but just the broader context of neighbors. And we have zero patience. And I'm going to try to tie 3 day-to-day occurrences that could relate in some respects, if thought about a little deeper, to the 3 anecdotes I'm going to share with you. But I mean, we're constantly in such a hurry that patience, again, even in our relationships with each other, because that includes a whole lot of things. When I talk about patience, like I said, I want you to look at it not just on its surface, because you're going to be turned off like, here he goes, another person talking about patience, superficial, cliche, but on the deeper level, because there are a lot of things that need to happen to get to that patience. And one of them is listening, who that we don't do so well either. I often say that hearing is involuntary and listening is an art, and I really believe that. But we have to do that in a relationship so that we can be patient. Can't be on our devices thinking about our retort. Yep, busted. Thinking about our retort while our partners are trying to have a discussion. Doesn't work. Or kids or a coworker. Doesn't work. So patience on that level, not just on the surface level. Like, I gotta be patient. I'm in traffic. I'm gonna get to a traffic example too. And I know I'm being a little coy with it, and it's not intentional. I just don't want the episode to turn dark, because the examples can be a little daunting, especially thinking back to them, to bring them up to share this with you. But and I'm not going to keep you just to keep you either. But we'll start with now I have to share this one with you. The fact that everybody is impatient and in a hurry. Even my trash service guys are in a hurry. I live in a neighborhood that has a 2%. It's probably even more than that. Let's go with 2%. Downgrade, upgrade, whichever way you're traveling on it. And it comes down into a blind left turn that is obstructed by, well, it's just obstructed, and it's often blind. And kids play there. And oh, by the way, moms push their carriages around, and they're often in that blind spot, covered by trees, shadows. It's a blind spot. The speed limit is 25. When these guys come down the road, you can hear the inertia in the trucks, the metal just cringing and creaking, because it's trying so hard to slow down to make that left turn. And I don't want to be a witness, but I think it's just a matter of time before someone loses it and either takes out the house that sits in the corner's wall, or more seriously hurt someone. But it's just nuts. And that's just the trash guys, because I mention them because I really do just kind of shake my head every time they go down there. They're just, and these are the bulk guys, not the can guys, because they have to stop, stop, stop. But the bulk guys, oh yeah, they get it. And oh, by the way, the two workers are on the back, just hanging back there. Only thing holding them on, their hands and their feet are on a platform. That's it. And I'm not sure the drivers think. Anyway, the first story, I think 2003. We're on a push convoy from Kuwait into Iraq, and it's several cereals being different portions of a bigger convoy every certain time frame over several days to get into Iraq. And I was commander of one of those cereals. And radio squawked, and it's a Charger 3.2. This is, I think it was truck 4. And I wrote about these in my first book that's linked in the description if you care to check them out. But I think it was truck 4. And it was Charger 3.2, Charger 3.2. This is truck 4. Go ahead, truck 4. And yeah, there's a kid up here running in the median, paying out what looks like wire. What do you want us to do? I was like, oh, here we go. And this is the era of the cruder IEDs, and there weren't very many vehicle born during that time, but the really crude IEDs, like dead carcasses, tires, garbage. Yeah. So, and that, there's a lot of that in the median. So I was like, all right, stand by. And by this time, I think it was about truck 6 or 8 now, calls me back. I call them to ask them what do they see. Same thing, kid running along the convoy, paying out what looks like wire. Roger, stand by. I think I called one more truck before mine actually got to the kid. And in defense of my soldiers, because especially, let me disclaimer, I had some awesome soldiers. Really, really awesome kids, human beings. But their trucks didn't have a gunner, so a gun turret at their disposal where they could just put someone up and do what I did. They were just looking through their side mirrors and the windshield. So anyway, I called the other truck and same thing. By this time, my truck got to the kid, and I had my gunner go up to what we call name tape defilade, which is just where his name tape is aligned with the top of the turret, and he can see, or she can see 360 if we chose to, but I didn't need that. I just needed him to see. And he took a look, and I also could see a little closer because our vehicle is smaller, so we could get a little closer to the kid on the sidewalk too. Folks, as you probably now have guessed from the first part of the title and paying out what looks like wire, it was nothing more than a cassette tape, a busted cassette tape. Cassette tape was in his pocket, and he just had the string, paying it out as he ran along our convoy. Patience. And I say that because without going into a lot of procedures and tactics that we used, we had the right to defend ourselves should we feel threatened, right? Because of the environment. Anything that a soldier felt, and that's why I said I had awesome soldiers, because anything that you felt threatened you, that looked like a weapon, the person acting in the form of a threat, you have the right. We had the right to defend ourselves. But one, it was a kid. And I wanted to make sure that the other outcome didn't happen on my watch. So, patience. How can that align with patience in the civilian context? I often use I often use this one. Well, I used it in a couple of other episodes. But here's another raise your hand. When was the last time you were in traffic and you were about, I don't know, number whatever, you were at least a number back that you couldn't see what was occurring, what had caused the traffic to halt or moving, in your opinion, entirely too slow. When was the last time you were in that situation and you were just back there, just losing your, you know what, pounding on the steering wheel, kicking, and just going off, right? Because you didn't know. Or actually, at that point, you didn't care what was infringing on you getting to wherever it was you were trying to get to. And then I switch it and I said, okay, I get it. You're back there and you're pounding on the steering wheel. But then you get further up and you realize that someone had stopped for a goose and her goslings crossing the street. And I asked the question, unless you're a psychopath, I ask you, would you not have stopped too? Or at least slow down, if not for the goose, but for the goslings? Patience. And I think that aligns. It's simplistic in its form, but again, I started out by saying think a little deeper. Just think a little deeper, because here's a little help with the deeper. What if it was an elderly couple crossing at a non-marked crosswalk because someone just realized it's gonna be tough if I don't let them? Again, unless you're a psychopath, I ask you, would you not have slowed down or stopped long enough for them to clear safely the street? Patience. And you're probably saying, oh, those are, and there are a lot of nuances to the tactical examples and the civilian examples, let's say. There are plenty of what I like to call shades of gray between black and white, the kaleidoscope of colors of life, right? So plenty of shades of gray. But would you not have stopped, slowed down for the elderly couple, the goose and her goslings, if not for the goose, but her goslings? For our humanity, of which our channel has hopes and optimism for, because I think we're gonna be okay. We will be okay, because in the end, we're okay. But I think for our shared humanity, you would. The second story I want to share with you is the checkpoint, trusted checkpoint. Let me back up for a second. In the 2003 example, I think there was the start of, and I don't want to go into operational details, but I think we had established some agreements with the Iraqis about following distances and convoys. I think there were some agreements. Yelling, flags, waving our weapons, at night, lasers, lights, combination of all of what I just said. And then in the end, a warning shot. And then if that didn't work and you realize that it is a threat, then escalates. But that was just beginning in 2003, because things were pretty fresh. The next example, it was pretty established. Following distances to convoys, don't bird dog, all that good jazz. 2003 was a daytime convoy. This one was a dawn. No, this was a night convoy, and it was relatively short. The other one was, like I said, we're traveling from Kuwait through Baghdad and other really problematic towns and cities into Kirkuk up in the north. So pretty long. But this one was just a short resupply. And I think I had maybe 12 vehicles. And we were traveling relatively slow because I think we may have been in blackout or we were traveling at least with parking lights on. And because we were looking for pressure switch IEDs, because by this time they had escalated to pressure switch IEDs, vehicle-borne IEDs, complicated ambushes. So we were on the lookout, and I think in that particular convoy we had 4 gun trucks. So we were ready for a fight, but we were traveling and things were normal. We didn't have what I call little bird coverage helicopters, attack helicopters, the little bubble OH-58s that special ops usually use, but we used to have some of those or the Apaches as coverage if they were available and weren't supporting other missions. But we didn't have them that night. But things were relatively quiet and we were traveling along, and then finally the quiet broke. And squawks, I forgot. I think I was still Charger 3-2 actually. And they called and what's going on? Vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed, following the convoy. I was like, okay, Roger, just keep an eye and keep updating me on distance. And I started having the other gunners take a look, at our flanks, just to make sure that it wasn't what my mind and I know some of my soldiers' minds probably thought it was or could be. And I got another update, and he's coming. He's bird dogging. And if you don't know what bird dogging is, you come up and you back off, and you come up and you back off. So he's doing some of that. And I wanted to give him a chance to, because we're giving some of the signals. So I wanted to give him a chance. Do you understand the signals? Are you backing off because you do, and then you're just a speeder and you're coming back? All that's going on in my mind. And I have to consider my soldiers' safety too. But I also knew that there was a checkpoint about 4 or 5 clicks at the time to our front. And checkpoints are suspect. They were suspect. There are a lot of things that happen near and around checkpoints that shouldn't have happened, right? If people are paying attention. So checkpoints were suspect, but had to go through them. But I knew I had the checkpoint. So I was buying some time because, again, I wanted to give this guy some time to see if he was nefarious or not, on the hopes that by buying the time, I didn't put us at risk. Anyway, kept telling my gunner, who was getting a little anxious. He was getting a little anxious because the guy just kept doing it. And I think at one point turned his brights on too. So I don't remember if we were in NVGs, but if we were, that would have just ruined everything. I don't think we were, as a matter of fact, because of the fact he had his lights on. But he was getting a little antsy. But by then, too, I saw the lights of the checkpoint, and I told my interpreter, who was number 7 in the convoy, I think. The assistant convoy commander's vehicle had the interpreter in it. And I told the interpreter through the internal comms, when we get to the checkpoint, to relay to them to hold that car there and give us at least a 2 to 4 mile lead. And if, explain to them, again, the rules too. And if when they're released, they resort back to the behavior, then we know that they might be nefarious or just want to play games, right? And there's a saying for playing silly games. We end up with silly toys or something like that. Needless to say, we get to the checkpoint, relayed that to them. Nothing happened in the checkpoint. Gladly, we pushed out. I could see the car being held back there, and they gave us about 2 to 3. And then the car immediately after it actually left the checkpoint turned off because we didn't see the lights anymore. And that convoy went to its destination and back safely. Patience. Patience. How can that relate to a day to day? Let's say you're in traffic and someone is going, again, what you find entirely too slow in any lane, be it they're in the middle lane, that is, you can call it, for argument's sake, what would you call the left lane's the fast lane, the middle lane's the medium lane, right lane's a slow lane, whatever. Left lane, I can get why you're upset if they're going entirely under the speed limit. I get why you're upset. There's nothing wrong with being upset. But here's the example. Coming around them, coming up beside them, just to have or to share how irritated you really are. Sadly, only to find out that they're equally as irritated about something you knew nothing about, and someone is shot in the face and doesn't go home that night. That one happened here in the state I live in to a homeowner that a coworker of mine rented from. Road rage, followed home and shot in the head. Patience. With everything, each other, the universe, because I told you, it's not going to give you any answers. It's absurd to expect them. All of what we're going to get as answers start and ends with us. As superficial and cliche as that sounds, it's just the way it is. It's the truth. It starts and ends with us. And sadly, that guy didn't go home that night because of an argument. And that wasn't in fast or slow lanes. It's because if you know anything about this island of Oahu, it has 3 major highways, the H1, the H2, and the H3. And the H1, which is the longest one, I think is 36 miles from tip to tip. I think. I might be giving it 4 miles. I think it's actually 32. And the traffic is paradisius. I'll just say that because everybody say this is paradise. I'll say that. The traffic is paradisius. The point is you're not necessarily going to be going that fast to have slowed someone down so much. The H3 maybe, on the H3, because its speed limit is 60. The H1 is at best 55 for the majority of it. I think it's 62 out on the west side of it, but I'm getting off track. The point though is patience. There was just no need, not here on this island. It's so small already, and there's so many people already. Just woosah already is the point there in my rant about. It's because in my head I'm thinking about traffic. I think I'm turning into what's his name? Get off my grass. I watched speeders and the traffic. Anyway, patience. The last one I'll share with you is a burning Chevy Impala. This convoy was dawn, so there's enough light. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but big old dually. Um, but this one was dawn, so there was light, and I had my command sergeant major on this convoy too, so it made it even more interesting. Just in terms of nerve wracking, um, when one of your bosses, in certain respects, is there. It's anyway. Um, Rear vehicle calls again. It seems they um, always happen. I had an incident from a vehicle coming really fast from a side street, a dusty street, and just like as if he was just going to come out into the convoy. But anyway, this was a rear vehicle, and the call comes. Forgot my call sign on this one, but bearing down on us. Um, Roger that. Give me distance. Update me with distance. Just continue flags and signs. And he's doing that, and it's still bearing down, and he's doing that, and it's still bearing down, and it got into the red box. And so I told him to fire a warning shot. Now, on that vehicle is a 50 caliber machine gun. And I don't know if you know what that can do, but it will stop an armored vehicle, a certain kind of armored vehicle, if it hits it in the right places continuously. So if it hits a Chevy Impala, it's going to destroy it. So I told him to fire a warning shot, right side and away, because right side and away puts it either in the desert or up and away. Trucks today. So he fired, and fate just wasn't on our side in terms of where that round went. And so it ricocheted and hit the fuel tank of a Chevy Impala. Interesting too, Chevy Impala in Iraq. But it hit the fuel tank. And folks, it's the fastest. I've never seen a Chevy Impala go up in flames before that one, but it was the fastest car fire I've ever seen. And while it's going up in flames, I'm getting reports that there are people exiting the car. When it was all said and done, and we came to a halt and put the other gun trucks at tactical positions, and everybody's what we call on got their heads on a swivel and doing 525s, which is looking out from their vehicle to make sure there aren't any pressure switcher timers or delays or anyone watching Overwatch. All of that good jazz was done. I told the interpreter to meet me in the sand with the people because the vehicle was destroyed and procedure says we have to stop and assess and all of that to some extent. So we met him in the sand, and folks, it was an older gentleman, his younger wife, his older wife, and the baby that was still breastfeeding that his younger wife had. That's who was in the car. Through the interpreter, I asked him, why did you not yield and heed the signs? They were in a hurry to get to a family gathering in the city of, where were they going? It was up north. Oh, where were they headed? It will come to me and then I'll share it with you. But irrelevant, really. But they were headed up north to this beautiful city up in the north on a vacation, and just brain locked to what they're seeing from my gunner and what his feet, well, in this case, foot, because it's an automatic, is doing, and kept saying, we love America, we love America, we love America. And didn't realize just how close he came to loving America, or could have put America in a very bad light if we weren't just a little bit more patient. And I said there are a lot of nuances and a lot of situational differences between this tactical example and regular life. But is there really, though? And you can take that one and relate it to any situation that could have turned out very similar to the one I said happened to the homeowner here, and the one that happened with the Impala. Baby, still breastfeeding his 2 wives, and he's in a hurry to get to a vacation, Mosul, up in Mosul, and almost didn't make it, and would have to put that onus on my gunner, who had to go through some counseling to shake that off before he wanted to get back behind the gun. But we had to at least go talk about it before that happened. And he got back behind the gun and he was fine. He was fine. Because again, I said I had awesome people, human beings that just so happened to be soldiers. And before I wrap up, because I'm not going to keep you just to keep you, like I said, but wars are necessary. They are necessary. But diplomacy and peace, meaningful diplomacy and peace trumps that. So these glory seekers that you've heard, probably war is great and they want to deploy and they want to join and deploy. I understand what happened during what started OIF and Desert Storm, which was the other one I served in. I'm so dating myself. So I understand it, and I'm a soldier at heart, but I'm also a critical thinker. And you've heard it before, but there are a lot of unseen injuries because of war. It's not fun. The camaraderie that you have with your fellow soldiers at times can be hilarious, good fun, and you get to just know these people. But outside of that, war isn't fun. You do what you have to do, but it's not fun. So patience in dealing with these global issues and international issues and social issues with each other. Patience, because I'll share this with you. A sergeant major that was a mentor of mine and a friend told me once, he said, Pennycook, when you deploy, you have 4 to 6 seconds after the oh shit factor to make a decision. He said, but more importantly, it's enough time to make a good one. Patience. You have 4 to 6 seconds to make a good one. A really good decision. Every single day. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. The stuff I just shared with you didn't take much longer than that in their aggregate to develop. They didn't take much longer than that. But in your everyday, and he, oh, by the way, he was right about when the hits the fan. Yeah, I've been through some of those and they're not fun. They're so not fun. Okay. They're so not fun. But then after you shake that off, you do have about 4 to 6 seconds to make a good decision. And I'm blessed and fortunate to say I'm here to share these stories with you about patience because I took that time to make some good ones. You can too. All right. So, until our next discussion, which is on the regular episodes next week, you be good out there. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And thanks for stopping by. We'll talk again soon. I'll see you. Hey, Mama. You came in because Amazon truck was there.